It's so bright.
No, it's wild that we're in the future. It's wild that it's 2022. It's wild that it's 2021/2022. Um, it's wild just like how far Asians represent has come.
Mhm.
I'm gonna wait for some folks, but I'm just like I'm hyped and terrified for the new year.
I can feel that. I can definitely understand why that might be the feel. I try my best to like be optimistic about the future, but sometimes you just have to kind of accept what's going on and then make accommodations. Which I feel like even Asian represent as like a case study, we definitely have made changes and tried new things and all that good stuff. And I'm really excited to dive into that because I don't think Daniel, you get enough of a chance to like talk about that kind of, I guess, behind the scenes stuff. And I'm really curious to just kind of hear your thoughts on it.
On Asians rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know you've gone through like a lot of changes and like changed how things are structured or responsibilities and roles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that thought process, I don't think that kind of leadership is put in the spotlight enough, especially considering that we want to uplift a lot of people. And a lot of the processes are just kind of like what allows you or enables you to do that.
Yeah, like I don't mind talking about that and like even the tech side of things on how we set it up and everything like that. Because you know what my goal is. I would love for Asians represent to somehow. And I'll say this again when we actually talk about it, but I would love for Asians represent to serve as like a template or like a sub network within One Shot for us to for other folks to do their own shows. That's what I would really like to do.
Mhm.
That's like one of my 2022 goals is to like, because so the reason why I've been thinking about this because if you go to our website aznsrepresent.com and you go to the about section and then you go to the our team section, which I put all of our bios there. Pam, one of your goals, like literally the last sentence on that, got me thinking, and I was like, we should do something. We should do something, right? And we have like budget to do it, and we can help so many people. So I have like I have big ideas for what's going to come in the new year.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm also hoping that I can finally like go back to our previous
yeah,
discussions
yeah,
because this year went like insane for me very quickly. So I've been thinking about it, so we might at least be able to start talks again this come like this year. I was gonna say this coming year, but I'm like, okay, I'm
yeah,
literally in 2022. So
yeah. You're literally
2023, that's the plan.
next year because Pam's in
We're
the
taking
future.
a whole year off.
A whole year off. Yeah, I just
Now's the time.
now's the time to take a year off. Pam called it, everyone. This is the last ever episode for
like
2022,
bye.
the last one.
We won't be able to win podcast any in like 3 times in a row because we won't record anything.
Bye.
Yeah. Do we like we want to go for 3? Do we want to go for 4? That's unlucky. That's unlucky.
That's catch 22. You gotta.
That's why you got to just keep pushing till you get to another lucky number.
So we'll try to we'll hit 3, we'll hit 4, and then we'll take a year and just grind
Yeah,
out to 5
yeah.
and then call it.
We have to grind out the Wednesday equivalent of awards, you know?
Gotta get to 8. Gotta get to 8.
Gotta get yo, we get to 8. That'd be dope.
It would be.
That'd be sweet. Or if we got to no phone AI, I'm not talking to you, please. Um, if we got to like, well, wait, if we hit 3 golds in year 4, if we get a silver, that's not unlucky, right? Because it's not
It doesn't
technically,
count.
it doesn't count, right?
We might as well have not won anything.
Getting
right?
silver feels very A for average.
Oh,
Sure, yeah.
A's for average is still one of my favorite memories of 2019. Of 2019 at Big
Man,
Bad
do you remember
Con.
that year when Asians Represent was the best worst podcast?
Best worst podcast. I mean, on some pockets of the internet, they probably think we're the best worst podcast.
Yeah.
But look, Why don't we get started on our what, Pam?
Nothing. It's just so fun watching you guys.
This is our you know what, we should just start with that because this is our 2021 year in review. This is the episode where we talk about our favorite moments from 2021, the year that Drew, Steve, and I are still living, our hopes for 2022, the year that Pam is currently living, and, and our regrets from 2021, and what we want to do personally, professionally, and what we envision for Asians Represent. So this is actually a format that I want to do more of for our year in reviews, because previously it's been like we've hung out. Last year it was like Steve, you, myself, Agatha, and Emma, I believe, last year. But then this year we've got our full, except for Agatha, who is currently on a plane right now, I believe is what Agatha said. Otherwise Agatha would be here. This is the first year where we have all of our admins. And so I think every year we've done a year in review. We've done something a little bit differently. And this year is the year in review conducted by the community admins. So I'm really excited to kind of just like dive into, you know, like our favorite moments, our regrets, our goals, and of course, questions from our patrons. Drew or Steve or Pam, if anybody added any extra questions since I last checked in the patron section, let me know. If folks have questions and you're watching us live on Twitch, throw them into the chat. We'll try to answer them all. But we got about 2 hours to talk about what feels like the longest year. Yeah. So why don't we start with some analytics? So 2021 was a really cool year for Asians Represent, because in this year alone, our YouTube channel did really well. We actually, I think cumulatively, let's see, because I did not think about this particular part, but we actually improved over last year when it comes to engagement, reach, and average view duration, which is pretty awesome. We actually, without the controversy of Oriental Adventures or any of that negative attention that we had, we actually came very close to our 2020 numbers, which I think is great. Because I think 2021 was a year of us doing really positive things. It was a change in tone for Asians Represent. We even took a break. Like we took basically 2 months off of doing anything Asians Represent, and our numbers were very, very close. So in 2020, we got just under 59,000 views on the YouTube channel that we started in March. In 2021, we got just under 57,000 views on our YouTube channel. We got 2,338 subscribers as of right now. I'm looking at the live update, and so which is pretty cool. I'm very happy. I'm not really somebody to look at numbers or anything like that. I'm just happy that we're just putting out this positive sort of content into the world. But it's cool seeing the response to our content and how we kind of changed. In terms of the audio feed, which basically was dormant since 2020. Oh, is it 20? Yeah, since 2020. We had 81,227 downloads of the Asians Represent podcast, even after we took a year off. So I think it is a safe bet to say that we will cross the coveted 100,000 downloads mark in 2022. Unless, Pam, you're in the future, unless we've already done that. Now,
please let us know.
In terms of Twitch, we have just under 13,000 views on Twitch. I don't know if that means anything, but just under 13,000 views on Twitch. And of course, our Discord community grew from 20 people to how many people are in our Discord community right now. And I know, Drew, you've got some announcements about that later, so I don't want to steal your thunder. But how many people do we
You
have
do
in
what you
that?
do.
No. I'm not stealing your thunder.
We have in total, if I can get to it quickly, we have 356 members.
Damn, that's awesome. That's
A
awesome.
lot of people.
Gotta say, like 2021, big year for Asians Represent. We had a big sponsored stream. That was that Avatar stream. And I think the big thing with us is that we never really compromised our values with our content. We never did something that wasn't Asians Represent. We always did something that was us. So, you know, when we did the Avatar thing, we talked about those like tough points with Avatar. So I'm pretty happy with that. But that said, I kind of want to first do some introductions because I know that there are a lot of folks who were like, where has Asians Represent been for a year? And then boom, all of a sudden, like 20 hours of content just dropped on the audio feed. So there are some folks who may be listening to these voices for the first time on the audio feed. And there are some folks who may be watching on video for the first time and seeing these faces. So why don't we do some introductions? Let's start let's go Pam, Drew, and then Steve. Pam, who are you? Why are you awesome?
Hi, I'm Pam from the future because I'm based in Manila. I'm a queer Filipina. And I started kicking around Asians Represent, was it 2019-ish? Something like that. The time is weird. So I do game design, editing, sensitivity, and cultural consultancy. And I also handle a lot of community stuff. This year, well, last year in particular, was a bit of a break for me, but Asians Represent remains close to my heart. So occasionally you'll just see me after like weeks of silence go like, hey, gamers, what's up? And then
That's exactly like that.
I'll yell peace out. So you can find my stuff at the Dovetailer, .itch.io. I am currently doing a official supplement under Evil Hat for Blades in the Dark. It's going to cover Dagger Isles, so that's my big project. And my personal project with my partner Sin is also going to come out if I can get my shit together because I'm too busy in FF14. It's going to come out in late this month or in Feb, so we shall see.
You said it on Twitter. It's going to come out. You said it on Twitter. You've manifested it.
Well, I also say a lot of things like I'm gonna do this in the game. I'm gonna pull this for Genshin. That tends to manifest. I don't know about my game design projects, but
I mean, if you're able to manifest things in Genshin, I feel like you could manifest anything, right?
I have not manifested Diluc. Okay, my
really?
powers are limited.
After all this time.
Well, it's been a few months, but like my angsty edgelord fire boy won't come home. That makes me very sad. So.
One day. You've said it. It's out in the ether. It will happen. That's it. Speaking of like manifesting Asians Represent stuff, Drew. Who are you?
Hello. My name is Drew. I am from the Midwest U.S. And I am, as of about a month and a half ago, I am our Discord community manager. So if you are currently on our Discord, or will ever be on our Discord, you will see me around either cracking jokes or laying down the law. So, and then I also am putting together events, things like that, which we'll get to later on. I have a couple announcements and things like that. So,
yeah,
that's
awesome.
what I do, and I just play a lot of TTRPGs. Too many.
Too many TTRPGs.
It gets in the way.
I think you're in more games than I ever been consecutively and like simultaneously, I should say.
Currently it's 5.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to work it down to 4.
Oh, 4. Man, and some of them are weekly. Yeah. I think most of them are weekly too.
They're all weekly, and until they're not.
And you DM how many of those? I think one.
I DM 2 of them.
2
of them.
It's very impressive.
And we won't get into that because I could fill the 2 hours with nonsense. About my campaigns, so yeah. we don't want that.
Talking shit about your Sunday DM.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
Just all awful.
Yeah. That said,
Awful.
Steve, who are you?
You prompted me with this, and like I went last.
Why are you-
I still have
why are
like
you awesome?
I still don't know what to say because like I feel like this comes up all the time, and
Yeah.
I just say the same things, and I want to repeat it. So I'm gonna say something different this time. But I am Steve.
Knew
Thank you,
it.
Daniel. Thank you, everyone. You got it. I am a big fan of Asians Represent. Starting back, who knows when. I kind of met up with the crew at Breakout Con in 20. I'm gonna say 18.
2018.
Yeah, 2018, and just started conversations, and it was a really wild ride going up to this point and going into the future of just talking about things that I had never really talked about before. And I think for any Steve historians out there, if you kind of like watch my progress through it, you're going to see like a big growth in how I express my feelings, how I engage with thoughts and discourse, and how I deconstruct ideas. And it's been just really, really valuable to me personally. So, as far as what I do on this channel, you probably see me on, the Oriental Adventures Asians Read series, where we got pretty salty on it, which was valuable in a lot of ways. And you saw me in the L5R reads, and you see me on other streams as well, where even sometimes I've taken the host seat and kind of guided people through conversations, having all of this other experience that the team has really supported me with. So that's me in a nutshell.
I can confirm when we got started with this. It was May 17th, 2019. I DM'd you on Twitter and said, I'll say it again. I said, if I told you we were planning a D&D series with an all-Asian cast, would you be interested in joining? And then you said, I think I could get my camera to just. You said,
hopefully.
"Oh, come on."
No, it's not going to show. We'll take a screenshot. And
Dang
tweet
it. I'll show.
It's perfectly
It says,
legible.
"Fuck yes." Fuck yes.
Let's go.
I'm waiting
Yeah.
for May of next year to post that screenshot, and it's just our anniversary. That's our anniversary. That's our anniversary. Get one of those like what are those like circle things that people stitch into? Those designs.
Oh yeah.
What's that called?
Cross stitch.
Cross stitching. I should get something made for our anniversary, Steve. But yeah, y'all are awesome, and I'm just so grateful that we get to do all of this stuff together. I will say another thing that makes you awesome, Steve, and you, Pam. You didn't mention this, is because the three of us helped create the Discord server. And Pam, you're the one who just like set up everything. You were like, I know how to do this. And you just went in. We wrote the community guidelines together. Steve was like, I'm going to get all these bots set up and all this stuff. And the Discord server is really, I got to say, it exists because of you two. I didn't know Discord very well when we started.
I am definitely standing on the shoulders of giants with what I'm doing.
Yeah, so you two deserve a lot of credit for that.
I learned all my bot stuff from Pam. So even though I take control of the bot, Pam taught me everything.
So Pam is just like holding up the entire server.
It's like a meme where Pam is holding up Steve, who's holding up me, and it's just so on and so forth.
And I'm just watching from the side.
Yeah.
Oh man, we should make like a role just for Pam. We can make like a special role for Pam. What's above?
Oh yeah, we can definitely do this.
We can make a special role for Pam, or like a title. You could do titles now in Discord, can't you? Like special. You do special things now, right?
As an expert of bots,
as an expert
Discord
of bots,
now,
Steve.
The answer is yes. Let's take
something
that
we could
offline. We'll circle back.
I think it'd be cool if it was just like announces Pam's presence is like, I'm here. Or something like that.
Hello.
Pam bot or something. I don't know. But yeah, on this like positive note, I want to kind of just like dive right in. Dive right into our favorite moments from this year. Our favorite Asians represent moments. I can start. Some of mine, and I don't want to take people's thunders, but a lot of my favorite moments involve like you folks. I'll start with one that's just like everyone, and it's when we got that any. And I still think it's like the funny the past 2 years of so wild to say this. The past 2 years of winning Ennies has been wild because oh yeah, here let's
strap that baby on.
the past 2 years of winning Ennies has been really weird because every year it happens and we forget about it. In 2020 when we won, I was in a panel at Gen Con like remotely, and then I just completely forgot this was happening, and people were DMing me be like, the Ennies are happening, and I tuned in, and then as I tuned in we had just won, which is really cool. And then this year we had just finished streaming, right? We had just finished an episode, and then we looked on Twitter, and then people were tagging us because we had won.
Yep.
So I think it's pretty cool that we have these medals. But I think what's even cooler is that we have. Oh, this was a really unflattering look for me. We have a whole bunch of Ennies for our entire community team. So a lot of folks, like I dropped off. I know Steve, I got yours to you. I got one to Norden as well. And when I handed it to Norden, they were like, congratulations. I was like, no, this is you too. Because I think a lot of people look at Asians Represent and are like, hey, you know what, like the people like Daniel, Steve, and Agatha are the people who host this podcast and this stream. But like everything that we've done so far, everything that we achieved in 2021 would not have been possible if it wasn't for the Discord server. Right? Because the Discord server is where we were able to organize things behind the scenes. It's where we were able to meet awesome people. It's where we were able to get feedback and grow and change our content. So I look forward to being able to go to the mail at the post office and mail these all to you folks. I'm sure it will. I don't know how long it will take to get to you, Pam, but it will get to you. But I'm very excited that we won the Ennie again, and we're able to give it and share that with everyone else. We're also the first Asian podcast to ever win an Ennie and then ever win it twice in a row. So I think that's a really cool achievement. Pam, is there anything that like your favorite Asians Represent moment? It doesn't necessarily have to be like on screen either. It could just be something that happened in the community.
Well, it's hard for me to say favorites because, like, admittedly, these days in particular, I'm kind of like a quiet background presence, which is fine. So the other community leaders see me come charging in all like, how y'all doing? Y'all okay? Who do I kill? Right. And then after that's done, I'm like, I'm gone. Right. But what I it's less a particular moment and more watching how the community, especially certain people who are very active, are trying to engage and grow, because the beautiful thing but also the difficult thing about having a large platform is that many people are going to have perceptions about how that platform should function, what it should say, and whose faces should be on the screen, right? And whose names should be consistently recurring. And Asians Represent has a long way to go, and that's a good thing because it is powered by other people, and it also represents a gate and an opportunity. And I like seeing the little things that prove that point, right? That we can grow, that it can be better, that it isn't just about one particular aspect of the community. It could be a space that will open up into other communities. It might inspire new spaces. It might inspire new people. So that's more my interest in particular as the like if anybody follows me on Twitter, you will constantly hear me like assert like I am not where you are. And that is not meant to be an attack. unless you want it to be. um, but it is meant to be a fact that many folks will forget if I don't say that. And it's important as somebody on the outside to see that someone like me can still influence these areas. Even if nobody knows my name, it doesn't fucking matter to me. What matters is that the product is growing and that those people who are in a position to make it better are continuously trying. So that's the value. Oh, but also on a more personal level, when I did ask for an assist, the people, a lot of the people who helped me the most, because they had the means to and they had the compassion to, were really from Asians Represent. I'm not going to name them. I don't think they want to be named, so I won't say anything. But big heartfelt thank you, because this bitch is consistently in trouble since I'm doing a lot of different things, right? And I'm also the Shanky battering ram. So these things happen to me, whether it's IRL or whether it's in our spaces. So Asians Represent has been very kind to me, and I hope that I will continue to be kind to them and that I will defend its honor as much as possible, but also tell people when they need to kind of step it up a little or be a little better. So that's for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That was Drew. You got to follow up on that.
What the hell do I say?
I like the part where there were
Man.
Asians that were representing.
One time I saw this joke. It is so funny, dude. Like I can't even replicate it. It's so funny. No, I think so. For myself, I think one of my, I guess, just favorite moments was one of our episodes. You know, that I watched, the one about being mixed and that experience, you know, or being diasporic in various ways. You know, because and I was curious. I went to check the very first Twitter message I sent you, Daniel.
Oh yeah.
At 2:59 in the morning.
And of course, I look at it at 2:59 in the morning because I know Steve's gonna call me out.
Did.
Yeah, Steve's gonna call me out.
You know, you did. You actually did. Which, to make it worse, is 3:59 for you in the morning. But you know, just having these feelings about being like not just mixed Asian, or more specifically mixed Chinese, being 50-50, but also like being the only one that I know, and not just of being like, you know, the only example of being mixed, but the only example of being Asian, you know, in my community. So being able to go from that little old me in April of 2020 to being now surrounded by so many lovely people, so many different backgrounds, you know, it is really a treat. But and then to go from that and then seeing that experience on stage, I guess, right, being on one of our streams and being the topic of choice was really, really wonderful to see, right? It's something that I don't know if I'd ever thought about like that as like something that could happen.
Yeah.
At least in my sort of anecdote, the reality that I would experience throughout my life. So, yeah, just really, really probably my favorite moment of this year. This, probably year.
I wrote that down. I wrote the mixed race representation, episode 43. That was also the first episode of Asians Represent where we had just like full on solo guest host. We were completely hands off. Yeah. That was definitely one of mine as well. How about you, Steve? I think I know your answer, but I'd love to hear.
Yeah. Drew stole mine. No. So I had tons of favorite moments for this year. I thought this year we did a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to highlight one thing in particular, though, that was really personal to me. And I got to record a Dungeons and Asians episode with Jade this year, with the entire Dungeons and Asians crew. And I think that episode is just like, I think it was 2 episodes. I forget now, but it was
what episode? I got to put it out.
Yeah. But the everything that happened in those episodes between like, you know, using Quest as a new system, we're all kind of learning it, but all of us focusing on like the cinematic elements, and we just kind of vibed. We just like knew exactly what we were talking about. We described things in like a very quick, snappy kind of way. And then we got into like this new area with the desert, and like we didn't know what was going on, and we were playing through it as our characters, and we got to have these moments of each other, sharing the spotlight, all that good stuff. It's a really special RPG group. And I know obviously we're taking a break right now, but those memories, like they permeate through a lot of my work that I do with this platform. I want more people, especially people of color, to have those kind of experiences and not necessarily have to worry about certain traumas, or at the very least know that those traumas are recognized, and that you're in a space where people respect that, and not only treat it with not are not only gentle with it, but understand and will build off of it. And that's like a really special, unique thing. So I'm really grateful that I got a chance to play with the entire crew.
Yeah. Now that I know that was really special to you, I feel like a really shitty person for not putting that episode out yet. January. It's gonna come out in January. I will put that out there.
I love that Daniel was like, "Oh, damn, I didn't do enough work this year." Like, so you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is though.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to say a couple other things that are like my favorite moments, and mine actually was episode 41, Vietnamese voices, because Steve, that was your first time solo hosting, like Asians Represent, and that was an episode like long time coming. I know that you wanted to do that for a while, and you got the most incredible group of people together to talk. And I really hope that when we, go and talk about what we want to do in 2022 and in terms of topics, that we do a follow-up on that one. I would really love to like hear another one. But that's up to you. One other thing for me was we did our first crossover, like a massive crossover with like people we had like no business being in a crossover with. Let's be honest. We did that huge crossover with Shiran, Accented Cinema, and Cool History Bros, which was wild. So like I had the wildest night. Like I told you folks, I cut my foot open, right? That night.
I remember that.
Pam, did you hear this?
Yeah.
I cut my.
I don't talk, but I don't talk much these days.
Yeah,
But when I saw it, I was like,
yeah, we did that episode, and then I was so sweaty afterwards because I was so nervous. I was like, oh fuck, I smell. And so I went and took a shower at like 3 a.m, and I was singing the Frozen 2 soundtrack in the shower and cut my foot open, and there's blood everywhere.
I absolutely guarantee you that when you told us, like, my first response was "nice," all caps.
Nice. But yeah, that was another big one for me. Another one was obviously like Drew. You do becoming the Discord community manager, because I know you really wanted to do some other stuff in the server and organize some cool things for folks and just make things easier for everyone. And
yeah,
that was super cool.
I'm absolutely, like, I feel very passionate about what we do, and I have a lot of. At this point in my life, I definitely owe a lot to what we are and what we've done for myself and for others. And so whatever I can to give back, right, and make it a better experience for everyone, and continue to improve and offer what we can to individuals. That's what we're here for.
And see, Steve, good things do come from Daniel being on Twitter at 4 a.m. meeting Drew.
I guess.
Right?
I guess.
Right? Steve is like my biggest advocate for me getting a proper sleep.
Like,
there's like a meme where it's just like someone's like, "Hey, good night" on Discord, and then you see them like something on Twitter at 4 a.m, and you're like,
That's me.
I can't advocate for Daniel like going to bed, because since that moment in April last year, we have talked almost every day.
Yeah.
for 2 years, and I am often also awake. like, our first ever conversation was at 4 a.m. So will our last. Way in the
100%.
future.
Seriously, from the future, whenever I respond to things, because I'm perpetually late, right? Late
Sure.
because I
Late
see
because
something.
you live in
I
the
wake
future.
yeah, I wake up and I'm like, "Ugh, what happened?" Right? So it's
Mhm.
frantic back reading. But whenever you guys actually respond to me, and I check my clock and I'm like, wait a minute,
Hold up.
Yeah.
hold up.
We shouldn't be talking with each other in real time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. It's either too
Now,
early for Pam or too late for us.
Pam, I need to know. I need to know how the future is in 2022. Does Daniel and I's sleep schedule improve? I
No.
need to know this.
No. No.
I
No,
could have told you that.
I say as I just like take a drink of my energy drink. Like, oh,
But that,
Steve is gonna try his best, but
well,
yeah.
you know what? I do want to talk about that actually, because in terms of like regrets from 2021, that definitely is one of them. Me overworking myself
Yeah.
is definitely one of those things. I mean, me staying up late, I'm definitely trying to do better. Actually, I think I did a really good job. On Wednesday, I was like, I'm not going to play another round of Magic the Gathering. I have to leave right now because I need to help my partner. Oh no, we lost Pam on camera.
Oh,
It's probably
I
a
think
cat thing. Probably.
that's
I
my cat
assume
thing.
That's
yeah,
a cat
thing.
thing.
Yep,
That's
it's a
100% a
cat
cat thing.
thing.
No worries. But for
There we
me,
go.
it was always just like
See,
I was staying up late. I was working. I was stressing out about Asians Represent. I was, reading every single message or comment, or just like trying to do everything. And I really burned out. In like, was it June, May, June? I hit a wall like hard, and it got to the point where I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I'm pretty sure I had talked to all three of you individually, but like, I'm just gonna kill this show. It's gonna be over. I'm just gonna take it to look at the flowers, Walking Dead style. No, I just like, I couldn't do it because I had put so much pressure on myself to do this thing, and it had gotten to this point where because I wasn't involving more people and I was just like doing everything, and I don't think I was doing anything poorly. I have this big gas tank, and I was just running on fumes at this point. I think a lot of people saw the growth in Asians Represent and saw what we were doing and didn't see the team behind it. And they put massive expectations on Asians Represent, which was effectively one person for 3 years. Like I edited everything. I did all the videos, I did all the social media, the uploads, all the emails, all like the partnerships and everything. And I just hit a wall. And thankfully, I spoke to James and Tracy from One Shot Network, and we sat down, and they were like, "Okay, here's what we need to do. We need to talk about everything that you're doing." And they didn't even know that I was doing all of that stuff. Like our output was extremely high, and they were like, "Okay, well, we need to you're doing the work of like 5 people, so let's split things up." And let's take away some stuff from your plate. And unfortunately, the one thing that we took away temporarily was the audio feed for the podcast, because editing the audio and everything like that was just so cumbersome for me to do, and then get it uploaded at a good schedule, which is why Dungeons into Asians hasn't come out yet. And so we stopped doing that, and then we just focused on the Twitch and YouTube stuff. And then they were also like, okay, so another thing you have to do is you need to cut back on how much you're putting out, and focus on like quality and taking care of yourself. And so that's when like the Patreon came in. And like I already posted on the Patreon earlier today, just like a separate post thanking everybody. But the 66 people, I think it's 66, the 66 people who are supporting Asians Represent right now, are the reason why the show still exists. I'll be quite frank. Because if we couldn't do that, I don't think it would have been healthy to continue doing Asians Represent, or at least putting out the kind of content that we were. So I guess my biggest regret of 2021 with regards to Asians Represent has been, not asking for help, which, Steve, I'm really bad at doing, because I'm just a workaholic. Another one
Can't live without that workahol.
Yeah, I know. I just love it. Now, for my last thing in terms of just like regrets for 2021 was, I'm very sad, and this kind of goes into 2020. I'm really sad that it took me so long to have myself enjoy my hobby without monetizing it. So like started playing Magic again, started a home group, and I'll talk about that later on like my highlights, personal highlights or whatever. But one of my regrets is that I did start sooner. And I was just focused on A, like surviving a pandemic, B, like family and relationship stuff, and C, like my day job, and Asians Represent. And I didn't leave room for just fun. And so my biggest regret from 2021 was that I did not prioritize fun. Also because I didn't think I deserved it. I didn't think that I deserved to not do something that I couldn't do for Asians Represent. But enough of me. I want to hear from you folks. We don't have to go in order because this is obviously like a heavy topic. But Asians
I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump in and just say, Daniel, I really love that you acknowledge your tendency to overwork and whatnot, and just being vulnerable about it, because I don't think that's a unique thing, especially in our audience and whatnot. I think a lot of our audience, based on what I've seen in Discord and things like that, a lot of people just generally overwork. And it's easy to do that because I think a lot of factors externally make people want to do that because they feel like it's the right thing. Like it's the thing that you should be doing. And I'm glad that you are out here as part of like this role, just being vulnerable and being like, it wasn't healthy, it wasn't good, and it was destructive ultimately.
Yeah, 100%.
But then even more positively, you're just like talking about how you lean on others for help and how it's not a weakness, all that good stuff. You said it way better than I can because that's your job. But that was really beautiful. I'm really glad that you said that kind of stuff.
But now that you have the mic, Steve, do you have anything from 2021 that you wished you had done?
I do have a regret,
Yeah.
and it is the Avatar episode. It's not a regret. I love the Avatar episode. I think it's great.
the entire Avatar episode.
So it was great, but I listened to it and I think to myself, I was so nervous to try to lead discussions and whatnot. I felt totally starstruck because like Dan, you had written for it. James Mendez Hodes was there, and I really look up to him in his work. Senfung was there as well, and I really appreciate him as a game designer. Yin Su was there as well, and I have been a big fan of theirs for like ever, basically since I started listening to Asians Represent. And I got in my head and I was like, I was like, Steve, who are you to like asking people questions about their work and things like that? Towards the end of it, I actually got a lot more comfortable, but I remember that feeling of just general dread. And I regret that. I regret that I let myself spiral down that way, because having worked with all of you and listened to your words, because I really respect everyone's words on the team, obviously I'm qualified to ask these questions, to do these interviews and things like that. So my biggest regret was not believing in myself enough to be part of this community and to ask the questions and to be, present and representative. of my thoughts and feelings there.
You could definitely tell though that you took that sort of regret and you went right into the Vietnamese Voices episode, and then you just took charge.
I definitely feel similarly. That was my goal. That's what I wanted to happen.
And not mentioned, and I'm not calling you out, Steve, but not mentioned also Sharang is also on that team. Sharang is another person who is on Asians Represent, and I think is an incredible voice that we've had on the show a couple of times. Anyways, sorry.
Thank you. Yes.
But yeah, thanks for sharing that, Steve. I think there are so many people who we even see it in the Discord server. A lot of folks who start streaming, right? Because we have that project sharing channel, and people share when they're live. We see folks start streaming, start putting out their own work, or just start to feel comfortable being vulnerable and sharing, hey, I'm nervous about this thing. And it's cool to see, I think one of the things about us, and I think we don't talk about this enough, is that we are very transparent about, when we're scared, when we're nervous, and when we're super excited about things. So thank you, Steve, for sharing that. And I think it's, I thought you did a great job. I wouldn't have even known on that episode. I do recall, I think you did mention how you were like, I wish I had asked harder questions.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
I remember you saying that. But it's a tough position to be in, especially if it's being sponsored, and the people who you're talking to are people who you respect or who are your peers, but also are working on that project. So that's a tough one to be in, but I thought you handled it really well. But how about Pam and Drew? I know Pam, you put out a tweet recently just about like your year and stuff, but you don't have to talk about it as well. If you want to pass, you pass as well.
It's okay. It's more of I've been doing a lot of thinking about how to push forward, because I've been told by IRL and online friends that one of my signature things is I will start something, I'll be super duper active in it. A lot of people are going to get involved, and then what ends up happening is it just continues on with its team, and I'm like, all right, where's the next thing? What's the next target? Where to go from here, right? If I did have a big regret for Asians Represent, it's that I had many opportunities or possible opportunities to step up a little more and be a little more involved, but due to many circumstances of last year, I was unable to. So that's more it, because last year is basically a hibernation year for me, admittedly. So a lot of people got to know me in 2019, then they saw how super active I was in 2020, and then 2021, suddenly my feed is Final Fantasy 14, the critically acclaimed MMORPG, right? That's me taking a break, right?
Not sponsored at all.
And totally not, seriously not sponsored at all, because also you can't buy the game, so I can't possibly sponsor it even if I wanted to, right? But
I'm just dunking all your audience.
Yeah,
like,
wow.
Oh, you want Final Fantasy 13? Too fucking bad.
But my hibernation, I struggled with it because I'm used to being very active, and I'm used to being involved, and I'm used to telling people when they ask me how they might be better involved in whatever they're doing. So my partner in particular saw that I was struggling with it, and they, along with my friends, were like, "Bitch, take a break. All right, you just got off from a major NDA that I still can't talk about. You will likely see the news of it this year, maybe Q3, Q4." And after that NDA finished, my brain just like shut off for 2 3 months. So I could not focus very well, and I could not make myself as present as I usually am. So now that I feel like I've recovered, we'll try to be more involved this time. Although I did want to say that perhaps another reason why we get that feeling of, do I deserve to be here? Um, as long as your intent is good, I find that you're always going to question that. When you stop questioning that, that is when you need to question yourself and your motivations. Because if you 250% believe that you should be the one to do this, that what you're saying is absolutely correct, you are centering yourself. And a centering of self means a decentering of other people. That already naturally happens. So this idea, or rather this phenomenon and this experience of having that moment of like, oh shit, should I really be here, is a good thing. And acknowledging it is an even better thing. In our industry spaces, I've noticed that, especially if you are a person of color, particularly if you are Asian, diasporic or otherwise, uh, people tend to think that you should be stiff upper lip and that you're always going to be okay and that you're always like, yeah, I can do this, I can totally do this, right? But that is an expectation put on us because of a system of whiteness, because the system demands that we should be okay, that we have to be the better ones, and that we have to prove ourselves. So we might be imbibing that more than we think we are. So to
Okay.
be vulnerable is good, right? And even as I say this, I'm also telling myself, yeah, to be vulnerable is good because I'm super
It's
mad.
okay to do it. It's
It's
okay.
okay to do the thing, right? It's okay to cry. It's also okay to say I can't handle this, right? It's natural. And I hope that the space that I share with all of you will become more of an arena to allow people to accept that and to learn from that, because we all have a lot of learning to do. I think that the platform has indeed grown, and now it's really time, or rather 2022 is the time to really go, okay, we're here, what are we going to do and how are we going to improve? And Malo says hi, and with that I'm
Cat
going to
butt.
pass the mic. Cat butt. So yeah,
Okay,
those are
okay,
some of my thoughts.
okay, Drew.
Uh, I don't, so for me, 2021 was a year in which I kind of stayed in my own head a little too much about things. I can be pretty I'm pretty risk averse, you know, which as Danny can attest to, when there's no consequences, like a video game, I'm too risky about things, you know. But in real life, if there's a consequence or a potential consequence, I'll often take the safest route possible, which is often doing not a whole lot, right? And so like I spent a lot of this year just sort of like oh I want to say something, or I want to do this, but what if it doesn't go well? Then I just won't do it, and then I'll make up excuses like how there are other people that are saying it better, or there's no reason for me to say it, or I'm not qualified, because X person is more Y than I am, you know and it even kind of goes even to like my job. Like right now I don't work a good job. It doesn't really pay the bills, and even if I like what I do at the money I do it for, it's not good. But the idea of change and doing something else is in many ways scarier than just suffering in the thing that I already know. So I spent a lot of 2021 doing nothing in that regard. Um, so I would say that's probably my regret. That's 2021, because I think with 2020, I think for a lot of people that was a year where it was so slow and nothing was happening. People were stuck indoors. They were stuck in their house, and having to adjust to a new reality. Um, and it kind of dragged on. And for me, with the job that I work for the county I work in,
Yeah, no, nothing
uh,
identifiable.
no, nothing. I would never give away my address or where I work
No.
publicly. Um, no, but you know, in that regard, nothing changed. Sure, I went online with my friends and I met new friends, but that was my mad scramble, and I didn't have to think about a lot of that stuff. And then 2021 hit for me, and we had gotten used to everything. Everything just was. And instead of doing something with the time that I had to change my situation, I wallowed in the situation, you know. Uh, so this will tie into my personal goals for 2022.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's we're gonna do better.
Hey, well, you know what? I'm happy that you asked me. You were like, "Hey, can I do more in the Discord server?"
Yeah,
Because I'm happy
yeah,
you took the risk, I guess, to use your terms, and asked me. Because I definitely think you bring a lot of value to not just like Asians Represent, but to like the community. I think
Oh
it's.
yeah. Yeah.
I know this is something that Pam and I have talked about a lot of, and I think it's. There are definitely times when we see this a lot with allyship in TTRPGs, where there are people who believe they should say something when really they probably should step back and listen. But yeah, Drew, you're right. There are also times when your voice is very important and should be a part of the conversation. So I hope that in 2022 you do that. You do that more, because I having gotten to know you since that 4 a.m. Twitter DM, I think you bring a lot, and I think your future is very. I think all three of you. I think your futures are super bright in this community, and they would people would be very incorrect to not appreciate your contributions.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially for like cutting in real quick. When I saw that Drew had stepped in for Discord, I was like, oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah,
Oh, gods be good. Because my powers are like, I set this up and I'm like, here. And then Drew's like, I'm going to do this, that, 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 that. And I'm like, hell yeah. Now I don't have to do shit. Drew's going to take care of all of it. And I'm just going to be like, yes, absolutely.
I
I believe that's
approve. I approve.
I
yeah,
approve.
I will allow
do
it.
not do not worry. We got this going. It's in the bag.
There's some cool things coming to Asians Represent. I th- I don't say this lightly. 2022 is going to be our biggest year ever. Just based on the things we can't talk about. But 2022 is going to be our biggest year ever. We were
As we often say in the industry, next year's gonna slap.
Next year is gonna slap. Now that's it. We have some questions from our patrons, who again are just the reason why Asians Represent is just here. And I want to go over them. We talked about one of them, Epic Impulse, the most honorable Epic Impulse. We talked about what episode are you the most proud of this year. I think we mentioned like the Vietnamese voices, the mixed race representation episode. Pam, were you on an? I don't think you were on an episode this year, right?
No,
No, you
not
weren't.
this year. I wasn't able to. No.
And then Drew, you were on a couple of streams, but we haven't.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I did.
But we didn't have you
What
on.
is this year? Is this 2021?
This is
Yeah,
2021. Yeah,
you
you
know.
were on Oriental Adventures last year. Because I
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
I keep a big. I'm very proud of the system that I have behind the scenes to track everything. One day I want to do actually what I'd love to do is Discord community manager Drew. I would love to do like a behind the scenes Asians Represent thing.
That's me. Yeah.
If we do it inside the Discord server, and I could show people what we do and how we track everything. So if folks want to try to make their own podcast or anything like that, they have some tools that they can use.
I can show you my workspace. We got the sun over there. We got
Where's the
we
sun?
got
You have to
some-
turn on
we
the
got
sun
this-
though, right? You have the
Yeah,
power to
hold
turn
on.
on the
Yeah,
sun.
let me turn on the sun.
Let me
Hold
turn
on.
on the sun. Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, so we got the sun over there. Let me tell you, I can give you so many different tips on how to tune your microphone to cut out the entire beach
Yeah.
in terms of sound.
But
The wind, crazy at the moment.
I would love for us to just kind of equip people with tools to put their voices out there, right? Because that's what we wanted to begin with. We didn't hear or see people who look like us in this space, but we are legion. We are everywhere. But yeah, let's go into some questions.
I do want to highlight one episode that I thought was really, really great for this year. And it's actually the clothing episode that we had with Izza and Safia and
KP. And
KP was there as
It's
well.
our longest episode ever.
Yeah, it is. It is the longest episode. So if you love content, #content, then there you go. But no, that episode I felt was really, really valuable, and really showed a lot of different experiences and just giving platform for that. And I think one of the reasons why it was so long was because there's a lot to say and a lot can build up over time.
One of the reasons why it was also so long was we hit a point where we were like, oh, and I was like, oh, okay, let's wrap it up now. I'm going to wrap it up and we can go into like a part 2. And I was like, this is a good point to wrap it up. And KP's like, oh, no, I just need a 5-minute break. Let's come back. And I was like, okay, cool. And we just kept going.
This is not a stream; it's a marathon.
I was like, when I was trying to wrap it up, the guests were all just like, oh, let's just take a break and we can just keep going. And I said, okay.
I think there's a lot to say about like when you are talking about something that's so core to you, just hits you so close to like a central nerve, and you just keep going and you don't feel tired at all. Like you're in a flow state.
Oh, 100%.
There's a lot to be said about that. So that episode, I think I spotlight for sure.
Yeah. Our follow-up's going to be great.
I definitely think it also speaks to, like, for so many of us, only starting to have platforms to say these things within the past 3-4 years, right? So many of us have a lifetime of things that we want to say and experiences that we want to share, and we're just now kind of being able to get to that. Right, yeah. Which I think is also part of it.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm excited for the follow-up. There are so many episodes and topics, I should say, that I want to revisit. But with different...
There are also topics that you and I have been talking about a lot in particular. And we're like, how do we do this? And we have to like wait another month, and we're like, I still don't know how to do this.
Well,
but, like,
I have some suggestions on things we should do.
Great.
But we'll get to those towards the end. We have some questions. So Epic Impulse's question on which episode you're most proud of, we talked about that. I actually want to go into, do we want the heavy question, or do we want like the lighter question? What do you folks want?
I'm okay with that.
Steve, Drew?
Let's do light.
Okay.
And then we'll get into heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surprise me with the light one.
Okay, with the light one. So Kat from our Discord server said, what is one surprising thing you each learned during an episode or from the community this year?
I can't believe that's the light one.
That's the light one. Oh, that's the light one.
Like, wait a minute.
That's the light one. I got, for me, it's like the surprising thing that I learned. I don't even have an answer. Shit.
I got an answer.
Okay, Drew, go. Drew, go. Drew, the light one, the light, the sun. So
something that I learned over the course. Right.
Turn it off.
Turn that shit off.
Something that I learned from the community is, honestly, and this is going to sound stupid, but how wonderful a community can be. And the reason I say that is because, sure, moderators need to exist for a reason. Every so often there's going to be conflict. It's just kind of how it goes, right? But I have been a moderator and an admin for servers the size of ours. I used to be a moderator and then admin for a BattleTech / Mech Warrior server on Discord, and like, despite best efforts, it's a shit show. like there's conflicts every day, and it spirals out of control. And it's like, I love and respect this community so much, and I appreciate that because I feel that way back, right? I whenever I need to step in as a moderator, people give me the space to do that, and it's not taken personally. It's just, there's a conflict and it needs to be resolved. But this community really just kind of does its own thing. We don't step in that much, and we don't have to, because the community has sort of bonded together around these community expectations, around these rules, and sometimes it can be complete chaos, but it is a-okay. It happens. But no, just I learned how great a community can be is really what
This
it's all
is
about.
this is the only Discord server that I've really actively engaged with. I was in like prior to Agents Represent, I was in like two other Discord servers, and they were all like small Discord servers with like friends and stuff.
Mm.
One was like, oh, just some close friends. We were all just playing Rainbow Six Siege. That was it, right? And then we branched
Mhm.
off to like Borderlands 3, but like it was just a small group of people, and you just get on and you play. And then another one was like a group of friends who I met playing, you know, Overwatch. Fuck Activision Blizzard, but back in the day, playing that game. Then we played Elder Scrolls Online together. And it was like this massive server, and then there were so many channels, and they're like meme channels and stuff, and I couldn't keep up. I tried my best, and I couldn't keep up, and it actually kind of scared me away from Discord because I was like,
Mm.
there's just too much. It's currently how I feel with Slack. Right.
Sorry.
I do want to get something from Steve for that. But yeah, Agents Represent is really the only server. And I know Steve just like, you're in the D&D Beyond Discord, you're in the D&D Discord, and I'm just like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. I can talk about that for a long time. Just like how you emotionally navigate a space that's that huge. Like the D&D official Discord has like 100,000 members in it, right?
Wow.
And watching them moderate it and whatnot shows you a lot about how a community, once it hits that a number that large, how it kind of has to change, and where the gaps are and how
Right.
they've tried to fill those gaps. I won't necessarily say that they have fucked it up royally, but I will say that there are gaps, and how they try to address them is very interesting. And I think they truly do put their best effort forward. Though I do have suggestions, which I have voiced to them because they now have a feedback form. So like they slowly are changing, and that's kind of how it happens when you're that large with corporate backing. So not super surprising for me.
Yeah, yeah. I do have a
Uh,
thing that I learned actually. I have an answer now. I thought about
okay.
it. I learned that, you know, I mean, I already mentioned that it's okay to have fun and just, do that sort of stuff. But one thing I learned is that, like, with Asians Represent, kind of along the same lines as Drew, like, I can step back and not worry about things Asians represent. That used to be like, it used to just consume me. But I think the I don't think it's surprising, um, because all of you are awesome. But I really think I needed to learn myself and come to the realization that I can just trust everyone, because one thing that I know I do a good job of is surrounding myself with really good people. So yeah, I think that's my answer to Kat's question. The surprising thing is that, yeah, my gut is great. Um, Not my gut biome though. This 2 years of pandemic, but I think my instincts are good. And I think it took me hitting a low point to realize that, yeah, you know what, I can trust that. But yeah, how about Pam, Steve?
I think one of my learnings, I'm going to lean a little bit on Drew on your answer, was kind of what I learned from the community as it kind of brought up. So we are in a very interesting space where we had a pretty small community and it is growing, and it's growing at a pretty constant rate. I love watching how people kind of feel each other out, because we have a space of Asian people and other people of color, and some white people there as well, who are trying to figure out how to actually navigate their feelings. And I'm going to highlight that I think a lot of our members, they have kind of joined this community not knowing exactly what that is when it comes to actual other human beings. It's one thing to sit alone and to like type things out and write an essay and all that good stuff. And that is valuable. I won't downplay that. But it's another to share those thoughts in a way that is approachable and accessible, and how you can promote or possibly demote conversation. And I think a lot of our members, they've in various degrees have learned these lessons, and I've seen it happen, and I am taking those learnings as well as to myself. And that only helps me as someone who is very passionate about extending conversations with people who might not necessarily think they have a place in the discussion. So I think this community has taught me a lot in their overall way of navigating things in a vulnerable way. Um, so Drew, big props to you, and of course to our entire moderation team, to providing the guidelines and the safety rails for people to experiment with their conversations, because that's the only way we're going to learn. You gotta kind of have to fuck up a couple times.
Yeah, I think one thing that's surprising, given like my previous experiences with Discord servers and what I've heard, is that just the amount of compassion that is there. I mean, if you go to like if you're watching us live or you're listening and it's still kind of close to the new year, go to the community positivity channel, the latest post there. It's just a really good example of just like that alone is just like that makes it worth it. But yeah, how about you, Pam? What's one surprising thing you learned from either an episode or the community? I mean, I feel like I learned something every episode. What's one thing you learned from the community? Because I think that's kind of what we're focusing on with our answers. Because as long as we're just going, every time Steve does this, it's like a new thing has been learned. So you know Steve's learned something during an episode.
It's to keep it in there.
You gotta hold the brain.
Full. You have to hold it in. Yeah.
This is gonna sound super bitchy, and I apologize in advance.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize.
Let me contextualize why I need to say this. I have been running communities, IRL, online, offline, etc., since I was maybe 20, 21. So it's been like a damn good 15 years of community initiatives for me, right? And the surprising thing I've learned after watching Asians Represent, and in comparison to a lot of the other spaces that I've had to manage or have helped out in, I'm surprised that people in the community learn. And again, people might go like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's true. They learn, they grow, they try, they apologize, they learn eventually not to speak for speaking's sake, but to listen and to reflect." And that's always a pretty thing to see, because the truth about community management, at least in my opinion, is that you have to make yourself obsolete. A lot of people think that community leadership is about power, and yes, it is. But true community leadership is about being able to step back and not have to do a thing for other people to grow and to also start their own stuff. So you work to be obsolete. You work to not have to tell people what to do. You work so that they can come up with their own questions and give their own answers, and maybe even leave your space and create another space. Because that's my branding, I guess, because it means a lot to me for people to be able to do that. I don't actually want everything to be under one umbrella. Like, I'll say this as I tell people I'm part of Asians Represent, right? But it's okay to be part of Asians Represent, but also have your own thing, and also to go entirely. One space cannot solve all problems. And to see more and more people in the community acknowledging that, and then trying their own thing, and yes, fucking up occasionally and coming back to it, is great. So that's a surprising thing for me. That we are, after all, capable of growth, and it's really, really cool to come up with that, because sometimes you get dark, or sometimes you get frustrated, upset, or mad. So to have that light in the space is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's important that, I think you told me this. It's just like, I mean, what we don't want is for people to think that Asians Represent is the voice for Asians, because it's never what we've sought out to be. We wanted to be a voice out there, and inspire other people to share their voices. Now, go ahead, Steve.
The other day, to drive the philosophy, the other day I was working out. I work out with a mask on, of course. But I was thinking the other day about my own breathing, and how the air that I bring in and the air that I push out and then breathe back in, some of it is the same air. Like I can't get around that. And I recognize that it's very beautiful that some of the air that I exhale, that it's my waste, I bring back in and I reuse, but it always comes with new air and it always fills my body. And then I exhale it and then I breathe in again. And it's always going to be some kind of mix of something that I am leaving, but then taking back into myself, but also something that is net new. And I remember sitting there in the gym exhausted, and I was just thinking about breathing, and I was like, this is a wonderful, beautiful thing. And Pam, it's like tangentially related to what you're saying, but also just I remember the physicality of it. And I just, talk more. I love your fucking words. That's the
Talk
point I'm
more.
trying to make.
Surprised thinking, is it surprising that we just want to hear more Pam? I constantly want to hear more Pam.
I'm sorry. I'm in the future. So sometimes when things happen, I'm like,
Hey, look,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
get back to you.
I mean, speaking of the future, Alcahest in our Twitch chat had a question, and it was, besides projects you may or may not be working on, and without busting NDAs, of course, are there any TTRPG products coming out in 2022 or where you are right now in the future, Pam, that we're pumped for?
Oh God.
I can't talk about anything coming out next year.
Yeah. I can't. The biggest one that
I
left me extremely emotional and also made me realize that it had taught me how to grow as a designer and as a team lead. Like that project, I can't say a word about it. So I'm just like kind of here going,
I do have something actually. I've got like a lot of indie stuff that I've been working on. I like to just release like really weird little things. Um, we've got two. I've got three NDAs going into next year. Um, Two of them I think will make some people. I think is big enough that people be like, oh, so hey, Discord mods, get ready. No, I think it's super cool. Agatha and I are actually we signed an NDA to work on something together, and Agatha and I are co-authoring something super huge. I've got another project that was actually supposed to come out sooner, but it got delayed. So can't talk about that one. You know what? I'm super excited for Motherlands. I'm super
Yeah.
proud that I'm working on Motherlands. I have maintained like every single time we have a meeting, I'm like the only Asian person in the meeting, and I'm like, I'm just here for the math rock stuff. Like Steve says, I'm just here for the math rock stuff. I'm not here for anything related to the world. Not my story to tell. So don't listen to me when it comes to that stuff. But I'm really, really excited about Motherlands because I think what we have is super unique, and I think I'm super just grateful that B-Dave and Tanya brought me onto that, and gave me the space to share and trusted me, of course, because I realized that that's a unique situation. So yeah, Motherlands is super exciting. Asians Represent is going to do a sponsored series in 2022 with a big company. We'll have a budget for a cast, and it's going to be set in the present. So it's going to be something very different for us. 6 to 8 episode series of a game I co-designed. So I'm very excited. A thing that I could say a lot more detail about is that I'm publishing something with Liana, Valorous Games. So I have been quietly working on a 5th edition D&D class for the Yosha, Steve. I wrote a brand new class heavily inspired by a lot of wuxia TV shows and movies that I've been watching. I basically had one of my Daniel moments at like 3 a.m. where I pumped out 5,000 words, and I was just like,
point out I was there for this.
Drew was there for that, and I pumped out a whole class that hopefully that we're gonna use for Dungeons and Asians next year. And I approached Liana because Liana, uh, Liana and Valor itself as a game were also really influential on how I wanted to approach this particular 5e thing. So I was like, okay, there's this part here that I'm not as good at. Do you want to take care of that? And I'm definitely exaggerating wording here. Liana's like, hold up, let me finish Final Fantasy. But no, Liana and I,
Trial, calm down.
Liana and I are working together on this. I'm super excited that our names are going to be on this thing. I already have art for it with an artist that I was working with who's based in Vietnam, and there's just some really cool things, and I'm excited to start play testing it soon. So that's my big thing.
I remember that night you sort of semi like talked about like kind of pitched the idea, and you were like, okay, so I have like this subclass, and I was like,
it's
cool.
not a subclass, it's a full-on class.
Yeah, no, you used the word subclass, and then I woke up next morning and you were like, all right, so I've got like most of the class right. I'm like, the class? Like, and I was like, what?
All 20 levels, all 20 levels.
Yeah. I am very excited for it, to the point that we're in the Sunday home game. We're almost to the point of trying to kill off my character so I can play a new one.
I hope you keep my when we had started writing this like 2 years ago.
It's very different. It's very different.
Oh, but that feature, the sure.
No. You'll like it. You'll like it. You'll
okay.
It's got the surer kill.
So it's the reason why. Here's the reason why it's different actually than La Ning, is because I did thanks to Emma actually, because Emma has access to all the academic stuff that I can't download for free anymore. Thank you, Emma.
Big feelings.
Yeah, big feelings, right? That's just like, whoa. I wish I had just been like, I just want all the data. But I periodically am like, hey Emma, I found this academic article. There's like a $300 paywall. Can you download it for me using your access? And then Emma just is like, here's the PDF.
Yep.
But so I did a ton of research on the Xia and specifically the Youxia in wuxia literature. And I found that we had, with Dungeons and Agents, strayed very far from its historical roots. So a lot of my design considerations were actually based on what I had learned from like Agatha and Joyce and Yilin on all of the wuxia stuff, from watching the wuxia conversations in the Discord server, and then seeing games like Valor, and then the decisions that you actually made, Steve, when playing La Ning. So the spirit of your character is actually very much there, but I designed something that is like a combat class that has built-in class features that are designed around role playing.
I love that.
So I'm very happy with it. But I was very much getting into the point where I was like, oh, this is going to be hella overpowered. I need somebody to take a look at this. Liana! And that's what happened. But yeah, that's the thing I could talk about in 2022. That will come out in 2022. And yeah, that's my thing.
Oh,
so, Pam,
I have a
go.
thing.
Yeah, you have a thing. I know you have a thing you were gonna release. You said you were going to. What was it?
Yeah, the one with my partner. It's called Nevathem's End. I'm gonna type it out in case people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The release page is already on itch, and the beautiful thing about this game is it's actually my partner's game. That, like, in typical Pam fashion, I was just like, let me help. So now I'm helping, right? And I'm super excited about it because it was basically both of our exercise in designing for Forged in the Dark, powered by the apocalypse, but also making our own thing, taking from OSR elements. So it is its own system. It just happens to run off something that is familiar to everybody, and it is agents fighting against an apocalypse. So I'm very hyped for it. It was also featured in the very first Southeast Asian Kickstarter, Our Shores.
Oh, I backed
I know
that.
that. Yeah, yeah, that was ours. We are the slowest team, and much apologies for that. Life kind of went sideways for us, but I would love to host a game or two, especially when the game is out itself, so that people can kind of see how we run it. And that's like one of the only projects beyond Dagger Isles that I can talk about. Everyone else is like, don't say a
You
word,
shut
Pam.
your
I'm like,
mouth. So here's what I'll
"Shh."
do. I'm just gonna add that to our agenda for next year, and
Oh
I'll add
no,
it to a bubble tea book club.
we're
Um,
manifesting.
we'll do it for bubble tea book club. How about end of February?
That might be possible because the goal, and
You
my
you
partner
said
just messaged
January,
me.
February, right?
There you go.
Yeah, my partner just like messaged me frantically saying mid-January, we're gonna release it in mid-January. I'm like, okay, babe, we're releasing it in
Oh,
mid-January.
we could do it January actually. We could make this
It's
we could
okay,
make
Feb
this.
is fine.
Are you sure? Oh, well, actually, I
Yeah,
just
I'm
I
sure.
just I just realized that we have something for February because then the Kamigawa Magic set comes out in February.
Ooh, how interesting. Well, I will get back to you on that.
Okay,
Oh
cool.
shoot, the other project that I don't know whether this will be released in 2022 because we're still playtesting it. But the very first large project that I ever wanted to do as a designer, I finally managed to make the system. So my friends and I have been playtesting it for the past few months, and it is close to my heart because it goes back to my old World of Darkness roots of playing a whole bunch of hunters in a very, very scary supernatural world. I mentioned it in Asians Represent way back, and then it just kind of disappeared as these things do. But now it's back in full, and people are loving the fact that it has what I call a wager system. Because in belonging, outside belonging, and no dice, no masters settings, you basically cash out tokens to do cool things. But to buy tokens, you have to fuck yourself up, right? I took that and I expanded it across several playbooks. So I have a whole bunch of players going like, Pam, hit me with that horrible plot revelation so that I can get two tokens so that I can fuck up the boss the
Just give me
next
I love
time.
it.
feelings. Give me feelings right
I love
now.
it.
Hurt me, right? And since it's a hunter game, there are a lot of explorations on what it really means to be a monster and who you're really fighting. It's also alternative history, so it is a world where, and this is where it gets touchy. It's a world where the face of evil for whiteness is not just Middle Eastern; it's also Asian. So that's what we're exploring right now. Again, I don't know whether I'll release it this year because I'm like fucking busy and Dagger Isles is a thing and Navathem's End needs to finish. But I'm excited about it. You might see me tweeting more about it. You might also see a whole bunch of my IRL friends going like, fucking finally, the bitch is doing it. So that's for me.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. How about Drew or Steve? We got one other
So
question after this too. We got a heavier question actually.
sure,
I
sure.
know. I know. After
So
this, I thought this was more of a palate cleanser.
go
Did,
ahead,
did I
Steve.
did I go already,
No, you haven't.
Drew? I haven't.
No. I know you said
I
you were
don't know.
working on something with your partner, helping your partner. Or your partner's help working on something, and then you're going to help them out. Um,
So what I'll share and what I can share is that I have been spending the last couple of weeks and months, while we're having our break and whatnot, reaching out and responding to requests to be on other streams and actual play podcasts and whatnot outside of Asians Represent. And that I think is really, really important because I think that it's one thing to be on Asian Represent and pushing Asian representation. I think it's another thing to be on other areas and showing that this whole thing that we do, it's applicable in a lot of other ways, and that I can absolutely make it my own. It is not a matter of kind of like worming my way into spaces where I don't feel welcome. It's a matter of saying that I always was welcome, and here is my true self. And that has been very cathartic for me. So no details, but I will say that I am reaching out and try my best to be more on the front lines and showing this moneymaker as I point to my face and
Yeah,
circle it around.
absolutely, absolutely. I think it's super important not only for us to be visible on our own platforms, but on other people's platforms. Um, no, that's I don't have the bandwidth to do something like that, so I think it's super cool that you are. Now, Drew, how about you?
Now, I don't have anything to promote, but I know there's a lot of NDAs, but it's not NDA if I produce it for one of you psychically. Okay, hold on.
Getting ready to end the
Steve,
stream right
Steve,
now.
Steve, I'm getting something. Hold on. Hold on. Oh my God, you're going to produce a one-page TTRPG about the Office UK edition.
Whoa, whoa,
What?
whoa! Who gets to play?
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Hold
whoa.
up! Why wasn't I consulted here?
It's wild. It's wild. But hey, there you go. I'm excited for that.
Wow, I can't believe you read my mind and you got that. That's great.
Hey,
What can I say? What can I say?
what can I say? No, look, Drew. I mean, I just want to see you just like continue to crush it with Asians Represent, and then you've got a lot of stuff that I think you should put out there. So
Yeah, and this kind of goes into like, we're gonna get to like this topic, but yeah, that's kind of the hope for 2022 is
Yeah.
to get some of the ideas in my head out there.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the possibilities.
So speaking of we're talking about possibilities. I mean, when we're thinking about the future and we're thinking about what we want to manifest in 2022 or what we'd like to see in our communities in 2022, I think it's important to look back. And I think this relates really well to the last question that we had from patrons, and it's Connie's question. And it was, how have your perspectives on TTRPGs, the Asians Represent community, and or our individual places in the industry shifted from the beginning of 2021 into the end of 2021? Has your perspective changed? I know, like Steve, you kind of talked about. This is a really good question too, which is why I said this is more of a heavier one. Steve, I know you mentioned trying to be more visible on other platforms, on other shows, to show that like, hey, you're not just there to be the token Asian person, but you're there because you're awesome, and they benefit from you being there because of your presence, your charisma, the characters, the stories you tell. And it's cool, definitely, to see you doing a lot more of that on the tail end of the year. But I'd love to learn about people's perspectives on like, yeah, have your perspectives changed? Other than the like, oh, I should probably spend less time on Twitter because Twitter is really toxic, or like Daniel gets to like piss off like white D&D once a year by
Once a year.
yeah,
That's
well,
it.
once a year. I think it was
That's a rookie
it was
number.
like Oriental Adventures in 2020, and then Daniel said a thing about HP in 2021. What am I
God.
gonna say next year? Whoa. But like, have your perspectives changed? Or like your place in the industry? I don't think it has to be like on TTRPGs. It doesn't have to be on the community. It doesn't have to be all three, but one of these. For me, I actually have an answer on all three. My place in the industry has definitely shifted away from just being a narrative writer to being a mechanics designer. A lot more of the work that I've been doing on the latter half of the year has been all mechanical work. And I find
That's a big shift.
it's a huge shift, and I find it to be very, very rewarding. Because I get to take a lot of what I learned through Asians Represent and just through like playing TTRPGs for over 2 decades into these conversations. Like I'm now asking questions like, okay, well, if this was going to be played on like in Motherlands, one of the big ones is like, okay, well, this is a streamed show, so we need to have something that is easy to follow on stream. But like doing a lot more mechanical design has been really a huge shift for me industry wise, because a lot of people are now coming to me and asking me to do these things mechanically. Like my 2 biggest jobs of this year were all mechanics jobs. In terms of like my perspective on our community here, I think I already said it already. There was like at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm done. Nobody cares about the work that I do or the effort that all of us put into Asians Represent. Let's just like shut it down. To now like, no, everybody's awesome, and I just need to have more faith in people. My perspective on TTRPGs, this might be a spicy one.
I'll follow up your spice after you're done.
Okay,
Go
cool,
ahead.
cool. Yeah. So it's gonna be a real spicy dish.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people shit on D&D. D&D's not that bad of a game. And I'll say this. There's like this big, like, I was, as like an indie designer as well, I was very much like, oh, you should try other things and do all of this. But in the home game that I started, there have been many opportunities to play other games, and I would love to play other games. But I think that people don't give D&D enough credit for the work that it does in bringing people to the indie scene. D&D is the gateway into this industry and this hobby. And while, you know, before there were a lot of folks, myself included, who were like, oh, we'll just not play D&D. I think my perspective on TTRPGs have changed dramatically in that I'm like, no, I'm going to engage with D&D. I'm going to play D&D, because if I leave D&D, D&D will not grow beyond the thing that it is, nor will it grow into something that is more inclusive of the communities of people who want to play D&D or are drawn towards D&D. But yeah, that's been my thing. My perspective on D&D and how the community has been responding to D&D has kind of changed. There is a lot of criticism towards D&D that I think is certainly valid. But the answer is not to just abandon D&D. The answer is to, you know, certainly show people these amazing alternatives out there. I think when people ask me about like, oh, you know, what are some really good products, I am always going to point people to the products that like my friends work on. I will always say, you know what you should do for your session 0? You should play Falling, right, by Mahar. You should play Falling, right? Because because what D&D does really poorly is establishing those character relationships. And here's this incredible tool that you can use, right? Yeah, do you want something where there's a ton of content? Absolutely, D&D's there for you. It's easily accessible. Look, D&D Beyond is an incredible tool because it makes everything so much easier to learn. It's the reason why the autism program I run still only does D&D, because D&D Beyond is just so easy for our participants to use. But, you know, that doesn't mean that there are all these other things that we can talk about, right? Like Falling, or these incredible settings. Like the thing that got me into, I don't even talk about this. You know, the thing that got me into like the OSR space was like Thousand Islands. Like an incredible product that I wish I could own physically.
Me too.
Yeah, like most people who know about it are just like, it's like for me, I feel like Thousand Islands is like the TTRPG version of like, oh, like a Supreme drop, and like
Yeah.
you just can't get it because it's just so fucking exclusive.
I literally only held one copy in my hand in 2019 when I was still that girl that nobody knew going like, hey, let me talk to you about RPGC. Like that's like the only time I've held a
And it's
copy
just, and I
of
just
it.
like, and I've seen pictures of them, and I bought them, and I own all the PDFs, and I'm just like, but I just want a physical copy. And so like for me, my thing is the thing that really shifted in my perspectives on TTRPGs is that like, yeah, you know, companies can be bad and decision makers at certain companies can be bad, but there are people who are trying to do good, right? And it's important to show compassion, but it's also important to understand that certain games will always, at least right now, be the gateway into this hobby. So rather than like shitting on a game that is going to draw people to the rest of our communities and the rest of our sort of our work, I think it's important to say, hey, yo, this is great. Let's let's teach you how to play D&D, and D&D is going to get you here, but you know what's also awesome that could help augment your game? Or, hey, maybe once you learn how to play D&D, you should try this because the experience is really different. And I think we need to be more positive about introducing people to other games is, I think, ultimately the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
Anyways, that's my thing. Pam, do you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
add? Because apparently that wasn't super spicy.
Yeah, it's I don't know whether my perspective changed or whether I became more of myself and people just can't accept that. That's more of what uh 2021 has been. It has become a absolute declaration of war on my end, that I've tried to be nice, I've tried to be polite, and I've tried to be firm. But some people just don't give a shit about that if you do not fall within this certain peg or this certain modicum of acceptability. But nothing about me is acceptable, and that's fine. I'm a woman, I'm queer, and I am not in North America. Those three ticky boxes already disqualify me from the majority of things that are happening and the majority of things that are being done. And if I do not speak a certain way or act a certain way, I am a problem. And I don't want to go into details because that's gonna be even more spicy, right? But many people last year proved to me that they cannot be relied upon and that they are actually unhappy with me and with my own, and that we are merely tools for their clout. So I knew that. I walked into this industry with my eyes open, but it sucks to be proven right and to feel that disappointment that certain people are just never going to change.
That's a vibe.
So, right. So, like, I'm happy to be that bitch who reminds people that this is how things can be and this is how hard it can get. I know a lot of folks tell me, like, Pam, you should take it easy. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm driven by spite. This gives me a lot of energy. I'm actually fine. And I do my own recharge my own way. So that's part of what, those are part of the things that I guess have shifted or changed or calcified with the TRPG spaces. The other, in relation to that, of course, is that uh, I already knew this also. Screaming on Twitter is not going to do anything. Neither will saying XXX is evil, XI blah is this, blah 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 should do that. Uh, I don't think a lot of people. Okay, I'm going to speak from more personal perspectives. I have moved from becoming an indie designer to somebody in the professional spaces. I know that a lot of people on Twitter are going to say, "But there's no difference." I'm like, there is one. Is the problem? There shouldn't be, but there is one. When you stop being someone who just who not just because that's me, someone who puts their stuff out independently, and you start moving into bigger commissions, you start signing NDAs, you start making projection plans for the next 2, 3, 5 years, it's a big difference because people will play differently and they will not always respect you because what they're looking for is they're looking for somebody to help their project come true. They're not necessarily doing it for you. So when those perspectives change, and if you want to stay in the spaces, you have to learn when you can say something and when you can't, and how to say it to become effective. So I've gotten a lot of kind guidance from people who, again, I will not name, who taught me a lot on how to be better at that. And the sad thing about it is that people have taken that, my silence, as a, oh, she's on their side now. She's not that great. Oh, she's not indie enough for us, right? And basically, for those people, it's a big fuck you on
That's
my
strong
end,
energy.
right? And I'll always come off strong because
Love that.
I have to be, right? Um, I don't want to close the door to people who have been watching me this entire time and wonder where they now stand since I've suddenly become very vocal. Like, I do remember I had one tweet that got me at least 100, 200 different blocks where I was basically like, I am not anti something. I did say that I'm anti American. And when I say anti American, I mean the system of American beliefs and American values that harm me and my peers. And many people thought took that to mean I'm racist and that I'm no longer usable. So that was a huge shift on my part that got me very saltily rating an FF14 for a while. But it was also a dark realization that I must be doing something right if I've made a lot of other people angry.
Yeah, what's
And yet I
that?
got which one?
What's that thing they say when you're playing the game right because you're reaching new enemies? What's that
Yes,
thing?
yeah. I
Something like
forgot
that.
when you're leveling up.
You're leveling up or
When
something.
your world level's going up and you're like you're level 50 but you're facing somebody level 99. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
stakes are higher now. I'm ready to rise to the challenge because of that. And it, I just want to take more time on platforms like this to assure people, even as my cat is trying to kill me right now, uh, that if you if you stand with me, we'll make shit happen. And I promise you that I try my best to make sure that my heart's in the right place. But I refuse to be spoken for. I refuse to be used. And I will absolutely refuse anybody who insists that one voice should be the center, that one platform should be in charge, that one corporation should do this and that. We can all exist in this space just fine, contrary to popular belief. We just have to grow up a little more and listen to each other more.
And Steve, this is
Powerful.
why I said this was the heavy question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how about
I-
Drew or Steve? I know Drew, you're enjoying your time on the beach, but with your
Listen,
virtual
listen.
background, but
It's either that or like I can't get to it. Hold on.
So I have a shorter answer because my answer is just like expressing the experience. And I know that just talking about it is not the same as having lived through it. And I will say that my journey through 2021, the main idea was intersectionality. It was the idea that my identity is part Asian, but there's other parts of my identity, like my queerness and my how I perceive my own body and how other people perceive my body, and all these like various factors. Intersectionality has given me a way to kind of the research and the writing about it has given me a way to navigate through those thoughts and those feelings and begin to untangle, retangle, untangle, retangle. Oh, it's like breathing again. But go through all of this. And 2021, my evolution through that and the way my perspective has changed through tabletop RPGs and the industry has really been a almost like a spring of just getting tension, releasing the tension, getting more tension, releasing it, and just living my life like that. And it sounds pretty simple when I say it that way, but I have to say that having lived through that for an entire year, being committed to that experience has proven to be very valuable to me. It has been incredibly painful in some areas, but that's kind of life. Sometimes you just have suffering in your life, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's definitely not a pleasurable thing, but it is something that happens and it's part of being here. And I overall love being here. So that was my 2021.
heck yeah. I saw this great quote that I've actually been saving to talk about on this episode. And it's happiness is like peeing in your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel its warmth.
That's what you saved?
Wonderful.
Yeah,
That's what you wanted to say on our stream?
I love you, Steve.
Okay. Great. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt about 2021, peeing my pants. Thanks, Daniel.
And I thought I really walked into this stream thinking I might say the most like bizarre thing. Like usually it's me. Usually it's like
this is like Daniel at like 3 a.m. in bed. My partner's asleep, and I'm just on Instagram, and I'm just like screenshot.
like in personal conversation. Usually it's me that says the absolutely like bombastic, ridiculous thing. What happened?
But
What
here's
happened?
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Like Steve, the key thing here that you talked about was like stretching, right? It's that like that tension, that release of the tension. That's being okay in these like these ups and downs, right? And that more people should, try to welcome that, right? And the same thing with, with that quote, right? It's easy to see and perceive of one thing, but to feel it is completely different, right? And I think one of the things you do really well, I think probably better than anybody on Asians Represent, is talk about your feelings. So that's why I brought up that quote.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks to Daniel. That quote I am on the fence about. But yes.
Dave's pissing everywhere. Like,
it was a steady stream of number one answers.
sure.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. You know.
So Drew, how about you?
Now, where do I start? I guess well,
Everyone's gonna say.
we'll
Everyone's
go
gonna.
number
Everyone's
number
gonna,
two now.
Go number two. Everyone's gonna take this out of context now and be like, Daniel just said like Steve's perspective was just peeing his pants. It's not the point.
Great. Yeah, I love that. Everyone can love that.
Okay, sorry, Drew.
Okay, so hold on. How to bring this back under control? So for me, I mean, we're gonna kind of like also take 2020 into, I guess, my answer, where it's just like two years ago, none of this existed. I wasn't on Twitter aside from just I had an account. I never looked at it. I literally like logged on to specifically DM Mr. Kwan.
It's very flattering.
You're welcome. From one Kwan to another.
Yeah.
Quantify.
But
I went from that as just like some dude who plays D&D too much, and like now like I know people in the industry. I hear all these things, whether it's seeing it on Twitter or getting the scoop from the friends, and being a part of a conversation that just feels so much larger than myself, and going from I don't remember when I became a mod, but I think it's somewhere around the beginning of 2020.
Like real early.
Was it real early? I don't work here. I don't know. But going from that to then a mod to then being in charge of something within the space, whether no matter how big or little that is, is really flabbergasting. It's one of those sort of what the fuck? How did I get here?
I get
moments. What happened? What did I do? Like, I just, it's the astounding power of saying hi, and seeing where a nice greeting gets you. But now, I mean, just the perspective is just very different, and I often have to impress upon Daniel that he's famous, and he won't believe me.
I'm not famous.
But I say he's famous. My friends think that I'm famous because I know people, or I know people that know people, and I just bask in it. I'm like, yes, I am indeed fame adjacent.
Yes.
Go on.
Me.
Oh, I won 2 podcasts, and he said I had very little to do with. That's me. That's me. Oh, you never heard of the Eddies before? Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you, it's basically the Teen Choice Awards.
Listen, yeah. Yeah, it's how it goes. No, but I'm just so very grateful for not just initially, because like I was very nervous even like messaging you for the first time, Daniel. So I'm very thankful for the leaps that I have taken both last year and this year, and not only that, but the extending of the opportunities by who are now people who are very close friends and sort of people adjacent in the space or whatever. So very thankful.
The idea of fame scares me. I think it's the worst thing. I think it's the worst
I think
thing ever.
I think that's very healthy.
It's the worst thing ever. Like, I don't like attention. I don't. We don't. I don't think any of us do Asians Represent because we like attention. I think we do Asians Represent because we agree in its mission. Right.
Excuse you. No, I love the attention.
Okay. Sorry. One of us has to. One of us has to. One of us has to. It's definitely
Two of us.
two of
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Okay. Two of us have to. It's definitely not me.
Look,
So hey,
Big Brother-
Drew, you're adjacent to two famous people. You got Steve and Pam, not me.
I'm just saying, I have famous friends, and
Yeah,
therefore I must also be famous.
Yeah, so your
I'm
perspective
saying is
changed
that-
because you went from famous friend adjacent to famous friends adjacent. There you go.
I'll be a yes man to fame.
Look, if Big Brother or Survivor or like Man Tracker ever calls me, it's like, hey, you want to be on the show? I am there the same day. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
So I had a weird thing where, actually, I've never talked about this. Somebody approached me and said, "Hey, I want to shoot a pilot for a show, and I want to pitch it to the CBC. Do you want to star in it?" Like a
Jesus.
like a lifestyle thing. It's very weird.
yeah.
Very weird. But that's not one of my NDA things. I don't want that.
I had the funny experience recently of people somehow thinking I'm a video game designer. So I don't know who's been talking about me because I'm very
Hey,
clearly
that's cool.
a tabletop designer. But the problem with those DMs is that it's always like the expectation that I'm going to help you for free. And I'm like, this stuff is expensive. This is Urban Decay. What's on my face is Hourglass and Mac. This is also Urban Decay.
What's Urban
So-
Decay?
It's a makeup brand.
Oh, okay.
So like this takes maintenance and maintenance takes money. So whatever I post on my feed, I'm happy to share for free. But outside of that, please, please, please pay me. Like, and the cat that you guys have been seeing for the past 2 hours, he is a churu monster. Churu is this Japanese treat that cats like hella love, and he eats that stuff like twice or thrice a day, and it's very expensive. So for me, it's not that I like attention. It's that I understand that with these platforms comes responsibility and power. And if I can use that power to, one, make myself and my partner feel safe and happy, and two, make other people feel safe and happy, I will. So that's why I go for opportunities. I don't like a lot of the little fiddly bits that come with it. I also don't like the parasocial relationships and all of the other stuff. But the with that comes a world of possibility, and that's why it's work for me. It's not
What Pam
connecting.
said. That was way better. Yeah, what Pam said. Yeah, I definitely. I still have things that I want to accomplish. I
Yeah.
think for me the big thing was like because I took some time off doing things and
You really got to think about it.
have had less responsibility in Asians Represent
Yeah.
because we're obviously delegating. I've just been
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is this what it's like to live a normal life? Like, do I just like wait? I'm done work for the day. Like, you know, 5 o'clock. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm done work. What am I guess I'm gonna go play video games with my friends and people aren't gonna watch it. Oh, okay. I like, oh, am I just gonna go buy Magic the Gathering cards and
And
not
stuff.
not
Yep.
call it like, oh, I'm gonna use this for a show. I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this because I want to play games with my friends. I as sad as that is, I was like, oh, I feel like this is the first year where in a while where I'm actually like, oh, just yeah. That's why I always think about like, oh yeah, attention and things like that. But I also, I have the luxury of having a good day job, so I can be selective with the projects that I pick. That said, I would love to talk about the future of Asians Represent and ourselves. Do we have some extra time? I know we've gone over. Pam, is the future okay?
Yeah, future's fine.
Everything's
Sorry.
okay in the future.
Sweet. Okay.
Okay, cool.
That's good to
Sweet.
hear.
I know.
Good to hear.
I was like, Pam's probably like, I gotta go save the world now, fam. I gotta ensure your future.
Yo, shit crazy right now.
I feel like this is like a cool streamed concept where like one of the people is in the future and they have to save the past. Time cop, or whatever. Well, that's a throwback. And I feel like I will say one thing. I'm constantly, Drew's in my home D&D game, and I'm constantly making pop culture references, and Drew has gotten none of them.
Dude,
Okay,
I'm young.
Okay,
I'm
so
young.
I know. So here's the thing.
My hair is
Drew-
still
okay,
wet from the womb.
okay,
Like
so-
I don't like. I'm young.
Audience, and like guests. This is Drew's character, and tell me which pop culture character you immediately go to. I'm a Dampier. I was raised by somebody who taught me how to deal with my thirst, and I'm really good at fighting and hunting and killing monsters. I'm Blade! And I'm like, you're Blade, we gotta find a Whistler. And Drew's like, who the fuck is Blade? And I was like,
Oh my gosh, I feel so dated right now. That's the case.
and
Because I'm getting these references.
Drew is like, who's Blade? And I'm like,
Blade is so important.
I know
Everything
I
everything
know.
about Marvel today
culturally, Blade
was
is
there because of Blade.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, we're gonna watch Blade, and we watched Blade. We have to watch Blade 2 now.
Hold on.
I
I hear the dinner bell. I think I just gotta go.
I made another reference the other day, and I don't know if the group got it, but I know Steve got it because I made this because I immediately think of Steve because I know because this is the character that Steve just wants to play, and I made a Bolo Young reference, and then Drew was just like,
What? A bolo? What's a bolo young? Like it's like YOLO.
Sweet,
I know YOLO.
sweet summer child.
I'm
You
literally
only live once.
in our home game. I'm literally I have done everything but tell the group. I'm like, this is a blood sport side quest.
And no one got it.
No one.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe Emma.
Abandon the group.
Yeah, I
That's all
know.
I can say.
But I was like, oh, there's a pile of bricks. Gah! No, nothing. So I'm just it's the Blade thing though. Sorry, Drew. I got it. I had to say it.
No, you're.
I think
I don't know
maybe
what's happening right now.
my perspective switch was that I'm old.
It's like I've stepped into a museum.
Was that I'm ancient.
Like what is happening?
But yeah, let's talk about our Agents Represent and our personal goals for 2022. Let's go real quick. Let's start with our personal goals. Anybody have a personal gaming goal or just a personal goal for 2022, unrelated to our work? I think it's important to talk about these things.
I think my goals. I've talked about the goals. I have a ton of lifting goals. And I have the actual numbers. I wrote them down because it's good for my goal setting. If I can't get to a gym, I'm not gonna be able to hit them. But that is okay by me. I think the intentionality is really important to throw way back to the things. But as far as like tabletop RPGs, I talked about being more present in other streams. I think that's really, really awesome. With all of the insights and whatnot I've gained from this platform and these streams, I've also noticed that the DMs who are more present in these lights and things like that, they have a lot to learn. And I would say 99% of them, 99.9% of them are absolutely open to hearing the words I say. Now, there's other baggage with that because I come to them presenting as I do. That has things we need to deconstruct. But starting the conversation, I think we all can agree, is a good place to start. You could do way worse. So my goal for 2022, both personally and with Agents Represent, is to, one, lift more heavy things and put them down, and two, be more present in other pieces of media.
Boom. Okay. How about Pam or Drew?
My personal goal is to finally get the streaming stuff that I've been talking about since last year up. Now, whether that's under Asians Represent or
That's
just
my
on the
Agents
platform.
Represent goal.
Either way or both, like I do want it to happen. And I know that we said like not work related, but that's like super important to me. So I
Yeah,
have
no,
to,
that's a
like,
personal thing. Yeah, too. Yeah.
yeah. Then the other one would, the more personal one, and again, this is because I'm a no-lifer in Final Fantasy 14 right now. The more personal one is that I will finally be able to learn all three roles properly. I recently started tanking for my FC more. Like I used to be dirty DPS. I still am because Dragoon life forever. But I do want to continue learning more about myself in that game because like prior to maybe like if you'd asked me about MMOs like just a year ago, 2 years ago rather, I'd be like, nah, I don't like that shit. I can't stand it. But now and in FF, I'm like, oh, I can do these things apparently, and that's pretty nice. So, oh, also personal goal. My partner and I are really looking to settle better, and I hope that universe willing, I'll be able to travel for a bit and actually meet you folks again in real life, if ever, and meet more people that I've been talking to online. Because the intent is that my partner and I will get engaged and married, hopefully in Canada. Now, we don't know how feasible that is this year, but it's definitely in the cards. It means a lot to us, especially since it is not safe where we are right now for people like us. So any means of securing any kind of future would be good. So those are some of my personal goals. FF14 fun times, partner things, maybe briefly traveling to do that setup and being a lot more present again in Asians and otherwise.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Drew, how about you?
Okay, so I'm the kind of person that has too many goals. Okay, so I really want to write something and put it out there, whether it's on itch or whatever, or help someone else with something. I don't really care. I just want to work on things in the space. Another thing that I really want to do, and I just blanked on it. Hold on, man. I was thinking so hard, and
It's
then I
late.
thought too hard. Yeah, yeah. It's so late here in the past. Um, or I guess it's too early. It's too early. Um, no, I want to work more in the space, and I really want to focus on just doing things like that and exploring more of my passions and hobbies in a much more like productive and even perhaps more scheduled way.
Hmm.
Um, because I have very like unworked on, unmedicated like ADHD. It gets in the way of a lot of stuff. So that's probably another goal is to figure that one out. I really want to resume my dabbling in music production because music is such an important thing to me, and it always has been and always will be. And I love creating it. I love, okay, I love trying to create it, and things like that. So
No, no, no. You create it. You don't try.
Yeah,
yes,
you
You
don't
already
try,
be
you just
creating
do.
it. Yeah, you
yeah,
you
yeah,
already
and
are creating it.
uh, yeah, I want to make sick beats
Sick
is what
beats.
it's all about. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and I got other stuff, but we'll be here all day.
Yeah, my Asians represent goal real quick. I want to do something with you, Pam. I want to do another show. I want
Yeah.
to just like say, here's our stream key. Here's let's buy some equipment for the people who need it, and just go nuts. Like I want to do that. I want because I think it's so important that like there's content not only made by folks in your time zone and your region of the world, but also live content available for folks. So that's what I really 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 want. Um, I also would really love to do more in the server. Drew and I talked about doing a thing where we have like a monthly group where we hold like ourselves accountable to like projects, like working projects.
Yeah, I'm so
Um,
excited for the possibility of that.
so I want to do that. I want to dabble in play by post on the Discord server. I want to do a whole show where we do play by post, like D&D or Quest or something manageable. But if we do play by post, a big thing is that we can involve folks who are not in our time zone in these stories.
Mm.
I'd love to have like a cast all over, and then I would love to have it so that members in the server can like read like the adventure as it happens, and patrons can vote on things, and it's literally like a show that happens very slowly. But yeah, I want to do play by post in Asians Represent for a couple of reasons. One, because it's a lot more sustainable to make. Two, it'll be easier to involve more people from around the world because it is flexible for time zones. But yeah, I think it could be something interactive. So that's something I'd like to do. Drew and I actually spent a couple hours today really failing at trying these different bots on my personal server, and then Emma came in and was like, "I'm not learning any of this. You know that, right?" Emma's like, "I'm not doing this," and I'm just like, "No, it's okay. We're just testing." And I can't test it on Asians Represent because I think Pam and Steve would kill me if I started just putting bots in and just like creating channels. No. Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that. Personal goal, I want my home group to continue. We are 16 sessions in to a D&D 5e game.
Yeah, we are.
I'm really excited about it. I have some stuff planned. I know that the deeper I go in the past for pop culture references, the more they will feel like my original ideas to Drew.
Now
so
I
I'm
will
very
say,
excited
like,
about that.
Eventually, you'll get to the point where I will start understanding what you're saying.
Eventually, and then you know what?
Because of the history side of things.
Because the history side of things, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm super excited just to continue the home game. Been playing Magic weekly now. I've been playing Commander weekly, and I want to continue that. And I think another personal goal is I want to go on a vacation.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, I know this is like pandemic sort of thing, and like Ontario, we're really not doing well. I hope you folks are okay, Pam, by the way.
You guys are a lot better than we're doing.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Shit's bad. I could honestly right now, I could care less about going to a con. I just really want to see my friends.
Yeah, I understand that.
So a big 2022 dream is to rent a cabin in the southern Ontario woods and safely have some friends go to the cabin and have a weekend or a week of analog gaming.
Oh God, yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, that's the goal. Again, all about feeling safe and things like that. So I'm really excited to hopefully do that. But we need to get our shit together, Canada. Come on, or the world, I should say. But that said, I know Sarah is wrangling Marla because it's time to thank our amazing patrons. Because honestly, you know what, like 2021 was our most successful year ever as Asians Represent. I don't say this from like financially. No, not at all. Like your support made it possible for us to do all this amazing shit. I would say the past 10 episodes of Asians Represent have been the most incredible because, hey, here's Marla. Oh, there we go. Marla, the camera's right there. Oh,
So happy.
Marla, lean Marla in for the squeaks.
Oh God.
Oh, hey. Oh, she's hiding. You're okay, Marla.
Yeah, she loves.
This is your
this.
favorite. This is your favorite part of the
part.
show. But yeah, you know what? Our patrons are the reason why Asians Represent is possible. Like the content that we've made, the fact that we are able to go bi-weekly and have the trust of our community is just so important. Bi-weekly meant that we could put more effort into and more thought into each episode. Oh yeah, Marla. More thought into each episode. Get some amazing guests and just put out some just awesome shit. So thank you for that. Thank you to our Guardians of the Realm, Brooke, Jeremy, Daisy, and our most honorable patrons. I still keep Ryan the Wizard Hall, Metal Weave Games, Valorous Games. Ow, that's a claw on my arm. Dungeon Glitch / Matt, and the most honorable Types 2 Epic Impulse, who also had a question actually for the episode. Y'all are the most honorable. I'm so grateful that we have your support. I know Marla loves you. She's real pissed right now at me, but she definitely loves you deep within
Yeah,
her,
definitely.
deep within her very rotund body. There is some
Absolute
love
unit.
for all of you there.
So, and real quick, before we fully wrap up, I do have a couple announcements.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do
Okay.
it. Discord related.
All right, everyone, listen up. So we have, for the most part, aside from if you become a patron, we had closed off the Discord, because we don't want to grow the server beyond the means that we have to manage it and provide a safe and fun and healthy environment for everyone. That being said, if you go to our website,
I'll put the link in our chat and in the description on YouTube. Oh, already. Wow, you're fast.
Nice.
we have, you might notice,
Wow.
we have a couple new forms. So we have a Discord membership form. So you can still get into our Discord immediately if you are a patron of any tier. However, those who want to be in our Discord and for whatever reason may not be one of our patrons, you can possibly enter via the membership form. It's an application. It's not a guarantee, but in general, we want more folks. We want to promote the growth and add more beautiful voices to the chorus of what we're trying to accomplish. And then for those voices that might be a little too discordant, if you have at any point received a ban, we also, it's just how it is with any sort of work like we do. You might have caught a ban. And so for those that end up doing so, I just wanted to put it out there that there's a ban appeal form. The third form, this is for my Discord folks specifically. We also are putting out a community event form. It's not public yet. We're still trying to figure out how best to put that out there for you to reach. But that is going to be a thing. So people, if you have an idea, you can certainly put that forward to us via that form. Speaking of events, we also have 2 events in this upcoming January. Specifically, with special guests Sophia, Izza, and KP, we are doing on the 22nd of January at 12 p.m. EST. We're doing a movie day where we're watching Bahubali 2, the conclusion. And then at the same time on January 29th, we're doing a film called The Journey, which is a Saudi Arabian and Japanese anime film, which is dope as hell. That's so cool to me.
It's a collab.
So 22nd and 29th. So if you're in our Discord, that should already be in the events at the very top of the channels list. And then for those who want, again, we have those forms available now if you want to join us. All right. Because of we obviously expect there's going to be a number of people at the beginning. We're going to be better about checking and getting people through as fast as we can with the forms. However, after it peters out, we're going to check it maybe like once a month, and get people in that way. All right. Cool. That's me.
I'm so excited about that, and I think it's cool. I want to make sure, and I'm glad we have you doing that. I want to make sure that we can keep the sort of the safety that we've built in here, and the I guess the culture of the server. I want us to grow, but I want us to grow purposefully. I want us to grow in a way where we can make sure that everyone, still feels safe to voice their opinions and engage in respectful conversation in the server. And then, of course, that means, having this application form. So yeah, Drew, thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely. And for the Discord folks, in case you didn't quite hear what I said, we're gonna put out like the typical announcements. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I would like to enjoy the rest of my New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
you can wait a day.
Yep.
And I haven't eaten yet.
I actually need to start a movie soon if I want a certain scene to happen at midnight.
Sure, okay.
I have 7 minutes to start the movie soon. Mostly just want to have it play in the background, so then when it gets to the point, we'll run it. But that said, I want to first of all thank Pam, Drew, Steve. I want to thank you for just an incredible year. We're gonna raid someone now, but I just want to thank you because Asians Represent has just been so special to me. And that said, I look forward to another 2022. Another 2022. I look forward to 2022. I look forward to all the cool stuff we'll all individually, work on, achieve, and then, work on together as a community. Because the past 2 years have been just a giant blur. Let's be honest. It's been a giant blur. I have had 2 birthdays now in quarantine. Very weird. But yeah, let's have another good year. Let's get that third Any, and let's make a big impact.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Bye, everyone. What we're going to do now is we're going to go and we are going to raid another channel. So stick around while we go and, we're going to raid someone who's playing Final Fantasy. Oh, Steve, so purposeful. So let's go raid this channel, give them a follow. Steve, you want to say anything about this person? You looked into their background?
Every stream, I check the Twitch tags. I look for Asian American, Central Asian, mixed race. I kind of look, and I always grab someone who has a low follower counting or lower viewer counting, and we just go and try to brighten their day.
Boom.
So I hope you all enjoy.
Let's do it. All right. Bye, everyone.